All right, thank you all for the, or welcome to the regular scheduled board meeting for October 14th for Fountain Charter High School School District. If y'all will stand and lead, I'll lead y'all in a pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, and just thank you for your many blessings. And Lord, just thank you for sending your Son, Lord, for us. We just ask that you will just guide us as a district, just to make the best decisions we can for our students, our staff, community, Lord, and just guide and protect us in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So first, we're going to start with recognitions. We are Couple Pride Awards, and I believe Coach Gleason.
Oh, I'm announcing these?
Yes, sir, you are.
All right. Brody McMillan.
And you stay up here, and then we'll talk about what y'all accomplished
All right.
at the end.
Trayton Gray. Dylan Detmery. And Coach Carden.
So now,
What you got going on here?
tell us,
All right, so we are the actually 4A state champion boys golf team this year. Along with 4A4 conference champions, along with we won the Simmons Bank Invitational earlier this year at El Dorado. They went undefeated against 4A and below classification schools on the school year. So 5 of the teams that was there at the state tournament out of 12, we had already beaten at least once this year, some of them as many as 4 times. And y'all know as well as I do, it's hard to beat good teams over and over again. But pretty remarkable feat for these young men to have such a great season. I would say 5A and above, we probably won about 70% of those against those schools as well. Benton, who finished class 5A runner-up, got us, and Harrison, who finished 4th in 5A, got us, and Little Rock Christian, who won it, we also had the pleasure of playing them along the way, and they got us. And is that the only 3 that beat us above us this year? Yeah, I think that's about right. So I think we lost to 3 of the top 4 teams in Class 5A, and we beat all the other 5A schools we played. So, I mean, it was a remarkable year. These 4 is only 4 because we're limited in numbers. Nathan Nolenberg, he played as our 5th when we went and played the big schools. So I would like to recognize, Nathan a little bit too as far as being a sophomore, but he didn't actually get to play in the state tournament. So, I mean, seemed like at least 3 of the 4 showed up on it any given day. It wasn't just top heavy where we relied on 1 or 2. I mean, everybody pulled their weight throughout the whole year, and I mean, we had a remarkable season and great accomplishments. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of where we're at with these boys.
Way to go, guys.
that's very, very well done.
They're gonna take a picture, so if any of y'all want pictures, step over there.
Well, I didn't want to.
Make it look short. Can we take that picture while you're there? I mean,
Yeah, you can just.
probably help raise it or something.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Good job,
So,
guys.
good job, guys. Congrats. Very good.
Frank said probably better.
Okay.
So you're good? Okay, I'm just gonna set up like 220 in the gym classroom.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay.
Let's check out the video. Johnny's got it up there, man. He's sweating bullets up there right now.
Hey, we'll be there. Can I do it for my?
Set that up at 220 mark.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the big screen.
Okay. Our next is going to be the Fountain Lake Middle School report. Mr. Stage.
Yes, sir. I feel like we've done some really great things. It's been, first of all, for me, it's been a breath of fresh air. Really enjoyed my time so far at the district. The students have been fantastic. Had really good interactions with the parents. Enjoyed going to the game. So just want to say thank y'all for just supporting us and just excited to be a part of the district. Just want to talk about some of the things that we've done, some new initiatives. One of the first things that I wanted to do is kind of revamp our RTI program a little bit. They were doing some, and I will say, at a really good foundation. They were doing some really good things already. But I wanted to just make some tweaks with some of the things, and one of them was the RTI program. They were pulling a large number of kids for RTI, but it wasn't necessarily targeted based on data. And so we wanted to get it to the point where it was, we can pinpoint exactly what kids need. And so we are pulling kids during our, instead of, I know they were doing it during some different times in the day last year, but we're pulling it during our advisory time. And so some of the kids are doing advisory, which is kind of, checking grades, things like that, and just overseeing how they're doing. But then some of our kids, if they need RTI, are getting pulled for RTI based on data. What really is beneficial with that is it's not such large groups where you got a lot of kids in there, but you've got 10 kids in there where you can really focus on the specific kids that need the support rather than having a bunch of kids that maybe don't need the support. I can narrow it down to the ones that do. So
Mr.
that's,
Stage, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you kind of explain to the board what RTI
yeah,
is?
it just means response to intervention, and basically what that means is I'm intervening on any skills that we see are necessary for them to, basically be proficient in a particular standard. And so we're very standards-based. We're looking at standards and we're trying to determine, okay, do they know that standard, do they got it, or do they not? And if, based on the test data, they don't have it, then we want to pull that kid immediately. We don't want to wait, we don't want to, do it sometime down the line, but we want to do it immediately when we see there's some kind of deficiency. We pull them, we get them caught up, and then we're not wasting any class time as far as we want our classes to be grade level. So we want to teach on grade level and then pull our kids when they're not meeting that so that we're not wasting any time for that grade level instruction. So that's been very successful. Yes, sir.
Quick question, if you're pulling it from RTI, and if you're pulling from, say, from data showing that they needed to, so do you work on that one section of data where they're lacking, or is it just kind of a sweep of?
No, so what they'll do, we have a program called RTI Scheduler, and so every week they select, our teachers get in PLC groups, they talk about the students, they bring up their data, and then they select the students that are deficient in a specific skill. And so maybe like one week, Miss Davis might be working on the Pythagorean theorem. And so she'll pull the specific kids that are working on that skill, and they'll label it on our RTI scheduler what they're working on that week, and only the kids that need that specific skill will be pulled.
Sounds like I need RTI because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not really a math person either, so you probably have to teach me a little
On
bit.
that data, do they just look at test scores? Because like me, I'm not a great test taker. So
Right.
they look at test scores and like their classwork, how that intertwines, or?
So what we have are something called common formative assessments, and that just basically means I'm going to work on a specific skill in class, and for that specific skill, they'll take like a 3 or 4 question quiz. It's not a big test, it's just a quiz, and then they determine, okay, which kids got the skill and which ones didn't. And if they didn't get the skill, then they get pulled. So we're trying not to rely on like big tests.
Right.
We're trying to rely on just some quick assessments where we can pull them immediately, and that's the idea. And sometimes there is a little bit of an observation element as well. So if you notice in class a kid is just struggling in general, but maybe it's not showing up on a quiz, you might pull that kid, and some of those discussions happen in PLC, but most of the time it's based on those common formative assessments. So I think that's going to really help in the long run in our test scores at the end of the year, because we're immediately intervening on those things. Another thing I really wanted to do is make sure that the collaboration happening in our professional learning communities are teacher-led. And so what they were doing before was our curriculum specialist, Kim, was kind of making the agendas for those PLCs, but I really wanted to put that in the hands of the teachers. And so we have specific teachers that are the leader of their PLC teams, and they're making the agendas each week. and getting input from the teachers to make those. So I think that just kind of puts it a little bit more in their hands rather than it just being, led from the office. Feel like our collaboration time is a little more focused. They do turn in agendas every time, just telling us what they're doing. And then one thing we did at the beginning of the year is just make sure that we didn't really have unit planning before. I came, and so I wanted something to be in place to say, what are we working on in this unit? Like, what's the standard we're working on? And what does it look like? Are you teaching 8 units? Are you teaching 6 units? What does it look like in the year? So I created a template for them to all work from the same template on their unit planning, and then they have to turn in that unit plan about a week before they teach each unit. So that way, if I walk into class, I can see exactly what they're working on. And sometimes it doesn't align exactly to the day because the teacher might be a little off. But if I can generally see, okay, I see what you're working on, I see what standard it is, it really helps to keep the teacher in line, and it helps me to see that we're actually moving in the right direction. So that's been a positive change. We also implemented physical education every day for 5th and 6th graders. I think that's been really good for them, just to be a little more active. There was, they were doing everyday recess last year, but I just felt like 15 minutes wasn't quite enough. Wanted a little more physical education time, so that's been really good for them. PBIS, we just have some more rewards in place. They were doing outdoor dining passes last year, but we have a lot of rewards this year, so they can choose based on a ticket system. So if they get 3 tickets, they have a certain number of awards. If they get 5, they have a certain number of awards, 10, and it actually goes all the way up to 70. They can give their whole class a class party if they get to 70 tickets, and they turn that in. So just some other things kind of to work towards, hopefully to improve some behavior. And PBIS is just positive behavior intervention, just to try to get their behavior better. So we have some negative consequences if they're not doing right, but we also have some positive consequences if they're doing the right thing. We just kind of revamped that a little bit. Doing Cobra Parent Partners, that I stole from elementary. So thank you, Katie, but I thought they were doing some great things with Cobra Parent Partners at the elementary, just getting parents to come up and be involved. And so we did our first Cobra Parent Partners meeting last month. It was a small group, but it went great. And I'm hoping we can get a few more parents on board just to be a part of our activities, come up with ideas for activities. That's the whole idea, because I think it's really important that parents are on board and involved in the school. And so I think that's going to be a positive change. And then just the last thing, like I already told you, we're just trying to really depend on data to make decisions. And a couple other things that we did. I sent out 2 surveys. I sent out a survey before the year started to just kind of see where we are, see some things we need to work on. And then I sent one out just recently to see where we are now, and just kind of compared the two. 2 things I saw in the summer that really need to improve were staff accountability and discipline based on the data. And so on staff accountability in the summertime, this was sent out to all of my teachers, all of my staff. 23.1% of respondents said that they disagreed or strongly disagreed that staff are held accountable. In the current survey, only 4.2% disagreed or strongly disagreed. So it seems like we have made some positive changes there. You can look on the left side. We created a behavior flow chart just for teachers to know, hey, what do I do when I have a behavior problem in the class? When is it a major? When is it a minor? And how do I handle it? So we worked on that together before the year started as a staff. They came up with the idea of exactly what it would look like and what the steps are. And then, so I think that's helped us kind of just chart that out in our minds. Another thing we've done is just make sure that we're consistent. Every time there's discipline, that the consequences are meet what the behavior was. And so we sent out a survey before the year. 38.4% of respondents said that they disagreed or strongly disagreed that discipline was handled effectively. 26.2% agreed or strongly agreed that it was handled effectively. So it was not, that was probably the biggest problem area I saw. And so in the current survey, only 4.2% of respondents said that they disagreed or strongly disagreed that discipline was handled effectively, and 86% of respondents agreed or strongly agreed that discipline was handled effectively. So a lot of improvements there, and I've heard that from my leadership team as well. They're very happy with the way discipline's going. Some fun things. These are just some pictures. We had Energy come last week. That's that top right photo. Coach Will is doing some science experiments in that top left photo. We have a class called Medical Detectives. Those bottom photos are Ms. Lampo doing some cool experiments with blood pressure, and that one on the bottom right is a senses lab. So just, they're discovering their senses, their 5 senses. So pretty cool. PBI's rewards, I kind of already talked about that, but those are just some pictures of our parties. We have weekly, we have monthly, and we'll have a yearly reward at the end. So at the bottom left, those are a couple of kids that receive some of those bucks that they get if they get so many points. They were able to get a prize. The middle, I stole that one from elementary as well. We did a bubble party. The kids saw the elementary kids doing the bubble party, and they're like, what the heck, are we not going to do a bubble party? So we did a bubble party, and it was a really good time. And then on the bottom right, that was the game day that we did with board games. And then library activities. Ms. Hutchinson is doing a fantastic job with our library. I know she just moved up there, but I feel like based on comments that there's been no drop off there. Some fun things the kids are doing every single day during lunch. They made balloon animals on the bottom left, which I have no idea how to do that, but they had a good time doing it. And in the bottom right, they were making some bracelets and some jewelry. So they have fun with that. That's our guiding coalition. I told you I really like teachers to have input in the decision. I don't want to be the only one making decisions because the teachers are in the classes. They are even seeing more than I do. So getting their input, we meet once a month to go over what's going on, what are they seeing, what's going on in the school, what are some ways that we can bring improvements, and they've all done a really great job just informing me of things going on and helping us make decisions for the school. And that's our student leadership team. They also have input, especially in the area of activities or things that they want to see improved. They're actually trying to raise some funds right now to get us some more recess equipment. So they have some balls and things like that to play with. So I thought that was a great little initiative for them to work on. It allows them to have a voice and feel a part of it, the students to feel like, hey, it's not just the principal, it's not just the office making decisions, but all of us have a voice. So it's been really good. And last, just thank you to everybody. Mr. Freeman's doing a great job. I couldn't ask for a better assistant principal. Ms. Richard, our teachers and staff, support staff, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Landry, and the board. I told y'all back there, this honestly is the best job I've ever had. It's been really great working here, and I appreciate all of your support.
Sounds like some really good things going on.
Yeah.
That's a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
You're
that.
welcome.
All right, moving on, our consent agenda. And if we've all had time to look at this, and we'll say that's approved by unanimous consent. And we don't have any items for consideration, no public comment? Board member comment? Superintendent comment?
Just real quick, I met with McHenry. Hayden and I did last week? What day was that? Tuesday. Well, we drove up there and we looked at everything. Looking at a building, we're having a meeting tomorrow to kind of discuss some pricing. Hopefully we'll have that all packaged up and bring to our next school board meeting and let y'all look at everything and start rolling with it. They're real close.
They're close.
Everything's signed. They're actually looking at doing some timber removal in a couple weeks, you said?
Yeah, they're probably 2 to 3 weeks out.
Now, this is Rogers?
Yeah, James A. Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, are they keeping the McHenry name?
They are.
They are,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So we can still refer to them as McHenry?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so in about 2 or 3 weeks, they'll start removing some timber and start looking at
So
doing
on the building, that price is set, nothing's changed on it?
So if you go back, our price was around $290,000. So that's when we started looking at some other options. I brought to them a canvas option where I had 2 shipping containers, a big canvas in between. They didn't want to go with that. That probably would have cost us under $30,000. James A. Rogers, the owner, he thinks he can do it for a pretty good price where we had that 50 by 50, 2 14-foot bay doors, 6-inch, concrete, the whole works, plumbing, sewer and all. He says he just built one for around $120, a little bit smaller size shop. We're hoping we can stay under the $150 range. So we're hoping to have prices, not tomorrow, but early, in the next week.
And we've already looked into water and sewer, electric and all that for up there.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing extreme out of pocket for that.
No, not for us. No, it wasn't gonna hit us so hard, it's gonna be that fence. For that permit, we're required to have that 6-foot chain link. We're meeting Thursday with, Daniel George, our civil engineer, and they're gonna go ahead and map out, and we already have the whole site survey over there, all surveyed, stakes and marks, so Daniel's gonna come back by and flag it all off. We're gonna go to our property boundary and probably go about 12 foot over, and that way we have like a dozer path. We're gonna get us a dozer line, where we're just gonna get us a fence started. But we will have to bring that price to y'all.
Is that a fence for the whole thing?
For the whole west side of that property,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, one thing that's,
Liability for us, and, you know, if somebody gets up there and falls off.
yeah. Yeah, we're the post, I believe every 30 feet, open pit mine is required to be posted. One exciting thing, if we're, this is south behind us, north this way, the far west, northwest portion of that boundary, or that hillside, James Rogers, or Corey's his name, I think, is his name Corey? He wants to go ahead and take that whole hillside between Safer and B and the tennis courts as well. Huge elevation that could be dropped. And I'm not making any promises yet. We asked, hey, if you're doing that, is there any way you can get us a road put in? And he said yes. So potentially, not set in stone, we could have a road from south entrance all the way back there, long term. I mean, you're talking, at the year 5 or year 6.
Right.
But he has said that he would be willing to work with us on that. We brought up asphalt, and he would be willing to throw 3.5 inches of asphalt from the south entrance up to their turn, and going to do that ahead of time.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
On top of what we have now, so.
Yeah,
it's
they're worried about the big trucks coming in there and
Yes.
starting messing up. So he's looking at putting 3 more inches of it on top of that, so it would save it.
Protect it,
Yeah, but they want to get the timber out first, like I said, Mr. Landry said, they're about 2 to 3 weeks on that. So if they're taking that timber from Safer and B to tennis courts, you think about all that timber through there, that's gonna be a big, opening, and it's gonna look totally different through there.
Yeah, it will.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it's moving.
yes,
Mhm.
It's, I know it's been a long time
yeah,
coming, so
Yes.
it's nice to see some progress.
right.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
I had one question, and I guess I wrote this a while back. What is TCI? Who can, is it middle school, high school?
TCI is a middle school, we use that in the middle school's curriculum.
Is that
It's social studies and science.
is it instructional or is it digital or?
So it's a mixture. There is a digital component to it, and then there are lesson plans for our teachers to actually teach in-person lessons with labs and things like that. I know on the science side and then social studies side, there's also a teaching component to it. I was not very familiar with it before I came here, but that's the curriculum they were already using, so I'm kind of learning about it as we go.
I just had that in my notes and I was like, I don't know why I had it in there, but I had it. Personnel get some resignations, or is it just one? Yep. You
All
wanna read
right, yeah. So we have a motion to accept the letter of resignation from William Grissom as school bus driver effective October 4th, 2024.
So that motion is to accept the letter of resignation from William Grissom as school bus driver effective October 4th, 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Passes 3-0. And that is all we have.
That's it.
Thank you all for joining us.